in a totally new way, super slow motion and clear shots of the whole surface of the weld pool.
The first welding process we'll look at is TIG welding. If we take a closer look, you can see why cleaning your material is really important. Even a little bit of contamination from this clean material gets drawn right into that weld pool and floats there on the surface. Once a pool is formed, you can add filler metal to it. The point at which you add the filler metal is really important because you want that weld pool to melt in it. You can see that filler being pressed in there. This whole dab of filler took just a fraction of a second in reality. As it solidifies, notice how everything will shrink down and it will sink down into a crater left at the end. Now let's look at some MIG welding. Now this particular type of gas metal arc welding is called short circuit transfer. And that's because the wire goes down and it will actually short out and create a short circuit between the welding wire and the workpiece. That's why the arc goes out over and over again, and each time that it does, one of those droplets transfers on. Short circuit MIG is the most common process, and it just runs a bit colder because that arc isn't lit all the time. You can see why there's so much spatter and the sparks fly off of there because of how much is going on here with the process and that arc going on and off all the time and running into the molten weld pool. That's also what gives it the signature sound that you get when you're MIG welding, where it's not just a hum or buzz. With short circuit MIG, you get that kind of rattly, buzzing sound that is so indicative of an arc that's running right, which is like this. Last process, that's shielded metal arc welding or stick welding. If we look up closer, however, you can see that electrode on the left side and the weld pool. There's a lot of motion in the weld pool, but the part that's really interesting is over towards the right side of the screen. You can see where the flux off the outside of the electrode actually floats up on top of that weld pool as it solidifies, creating a slag coating that you usually have to chip off. I think it's fascinating to actually see that slag rising up out of the molten weld pool and coating over the solidified part of the weld. There's some really smart engineering in that chemistry.
Wrapped up like a douche, another runner in the night.